Hey YouTube, Untamed here. Do you recall when Toyota used to be synonymous with exceptional reliability, or perhaps synonymous with great resale value? Both of those things have gone far out the window. In today's video, I'm going to dissect the many reasons in which Toyota has completely shit the bed over the last 3 years and really talk through what they need to do if they want to bring back their true Toyota enthusiasts, which they've clearly lost in recent years, so stick with me. Much of the appeal with these quote-unquote older generation Toyotas was the average Joe and Jane could pop the hood and perform a lot of the necessary maintenance and service to their vehicle. Not anymore. These new turbocharged iForce Max hybridized options are overly complex. They're overcomplicated for you and I. And let's face it, the more complex a vehicle is, the more creature comforts, the more gadgets, more technology a vehicle has, the more likely there are things to fail. And really, a lot of Toyota people like to buy a vehicle that's simplistic, a vehicle that doesn't have a lot of the creature comforts and a lot of the gizmos, a lot of the frills that were ultimately going to fail in subsequent years. Not only did Toyota overcomplicate their new generation platforms, they have hiked their price tags up substantially. Let's remind you real quickly of the price hikes per platform here, the popular SUVs and trucks here. For starters, the Toyota Tacoma. Back in 2023, that was the last year of the previous third generation Toyota Tacoma. Let's talk TRD Pro trims in particular, the highest trimmed example. That MSRP in the 2023 example was $52,000 back in 2023. Fast forward 1 year to the new fourth generation Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro, that MSRP, $68,000. Absolutely insane. Same goes for the Trailhunter. Let's talk about that Toyota Tundra. The Tundra TRD Pro back in 2021, still sporting that glorious 5.7 liter V8, the naturally aspirated V8, that came with a price tag of right around $54,000. Fast forward just 1 year to 2022, the now current generation Tundra TRD Pro, it cost right around $71,000 back in 2022. Fast forward to today, it's about 77 grand, just a few years after that. So absolutely insane to see them drop 2 cylinders now to a turbocharged V6, a hybridized V6 for the TRD Pro, and well, that price tag went up substantially. Similar to the Sequoia, back in 2022 was the last year of the previous generation Sequoia. Again, also having that 5.7 liter V8 in that platform, a very, very bare bones, simplistic platform. A lot of people who own those really, really love and appreciate them. That came with an MSRP right around $63,000, $64,000 back in 2022. Fast forward just 1 year to 2023 with the current generation Sequoia TRD Pro, you are now looking at a whopping price tag of $81,000, $82,000. Let's talk 4Runner real quick. 2024 was the last year of the 5th generation Toyota 4Runner. That TRD Pro trimmed example was right around $55,000 to $57,000, depending on how you spec'd it, right? But fast forward to this year, 2025, that 2025 model, TRD Pro 4Runner, will cost you about $67,000, $68,000. Same goes for the Trailhunter there. To be fair, we did see one price drop across the Toyota SUV lineup, and that was the Toyota Land Cruiser. Back in 2021, we had the 200 series Land Cruiser available within the US still. That 2021 Land Cruiser Heritage Edition, the top trimmed example, came with an MSRP of right around $89,000. $91,000 if you option for the third row. Now, the current generation Land Cruiser, or the LC250, the Prado version that we get here in the United States, now sports a 4-banger underneath the hood, a hybridized 4-banger, and that price tag, well, it did come down. You definitely do not get anything worth calling a Land Cruiser. Don't take it from me, take it from renowned automotive journalist Jason Camisa, might be saying his name wrong there, but he talks to it very well in one of his recent videos on the Land Cruiser in particular. That thing there is extremely gutless and just extremely lackluster, for lack of better terms there. So, the Land Cruiser, although it saw a price drop, well, it was definitely neutered. And even that new Land Cruiser comes with a pretty hefty price tag considering what you get there, right? With that 4-banger underneath the hood, the cheapest option is with the 1958 edition. Cloth interior, it still comes with a price tag right around $60,000. Many dealerships across the country have these stacked up on their lots right now, being advertised with a $4,000 to $5,000 off discount. And even still, they can't move that metal. Not very Land Cruiser-like, huh? People are not flocking out to buy that Land Cruiser right now because it is not worthy of that nameplate. It certainly is not. Remember when you can go buy a Land Cruiser and drive it with minimal maintenance and minimal headache for 20, 25 plus years? That is not the case with this new one. It's essentially a throwaway vehicle, for lack of better terms. It's a vehicle you buy, drive for 3 to 5 years, then trade in. You trade in for the next vehicle. Americans are very much used to that concept with domestic vehicle manufacturers at large. It's a very common thing that we've seen. But we, Toyota enthusiasts, expect more from the brand. We expect more from Toyota, as we always have through the years. You buy a Toyota to drive it for 10, 15, 20 plus years. You drive it till the wheels fall off. In fact, that's something that Toyota engineers have always taken pride in. They go into building the Toyota Land Cruiser to last 20 to 25 plus years with minimal headache. That's what they designed it. They engineered it to be that way. That is certainly not the case with the current generation LC250 Land Cruiser we get in the States. Not the case. And similar to my quote-unquote Prado Land Cruiser example that I have behind me, this is a 2013 Lexus GX460, sporting a 4.6 liter naturally aspirated V8. This is based on the Prado Land Cruiser of old. And this right here still has a very similar feeling to what the previous Land Cruiser had in the United States. That 200 series felt very raw, very visceral, very solid. Those doors are extremely heavy. It just felt very planted. It feels like you're driving a bank vault. And a lot of Toyota Land Cruiser folks, when they buy that vehicle, they often say that that is the last vehicle you will ever buy. Not so much that it will be the last Land Cruiser specifically, but you will never buy another brand because it offers you unmatched peace of mind with that 5.7 liter V8 that we got in it. It truly was a Japanese-built V8 for the record. It was just a very, very well put together vehicle. The fit and finish, second to none. Not the case with the current one. Now, although very expensive, that 200 series, it was built like a tank, and the people who bought it, they loved it for that reason, like we talked about. They only sold between 3,500 and 5,500 units per year within the United States for that particular 200 series. They've always sold very low volume, not because they couldn't sell them here, it's because their worldwide market sold them just fine. They sold them down to Australia, the Middle East, you name it, they were selling extremely well. So they didn't quote unquote need to bring it to the United States. But I, for one, was very happy that they did offer it, and a lot of people I know were very grateful to have that platform here. They have other offerings here like the Toyota Highlander, the Camry, the Corolla, blah, 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 you name it. There's other offerings that are more fitted, more suited for the American market, and that's why they ultimately peeled it off. It's a shame because you can tell that Toyota North American executive leadership team clearly leaned into the whole carbon neutral movement because they're getting pretty nice handouts from the government, so no matter if they're selling their vehicles well, they were still cashing in extremely well, which is very nice for their shareholders ultimately. And the previous generation Toyota Tundra was a prime example of less is more. When you compare it to the new generation, the current generation Toyota Tundra, what do you find? You find that faulty main crankshaft bearing issue, that giant safety recall that's plaguing the new Toyota Tundra nameplate. And when you combine that with that price tag being shot to the moon and the overall driving experience feeling rather synthetic in my personal opinion, I've owned one, so let me speak from experience here. It just feels like it just buzzes to life. It doesn't roar to life like that 5.7 liter V8 did, especially with that TRD catback exhaust. It was glorious. It had a lot of drama to it. And sure, you can tout the numbers all you want. You can tout the new horsepower, the new torque figures, and compare it to the old one, as the new one is much better, as you'd imagine, as you'd expect perhaps. But that driving feel, that experience that you have while you're behind the wheel is no longer there. I missed that drama that I had in the previous generation, that roaring V8 and that catback exhaust just constantly rumbling behind you. There's a lot of drama to it, and that's what true Toyota enthusiasts miss. And I know it's silly to say, but I truly feel as though the new Toyotas have lost their identity. They've lost that feel. They've lost their soul. They all feel like the same exact thing. They're like a carbon copy of one another. Each of the platforms, the Tundra, Sequoia, Tacoma, and they're all based on the same exact platform, the TNGAF platform, but it shouldn't mean that they all feel like a carbon copy of one another. One more small jab at that new generation Tundra and Sequoia, mainly the Tundra, compared to the previous generation Tundra and the previous generation Sequoia, the turning radius is so bad in the new ones. And really for a lot of people, you don't realize how much you love and appreciate that until you go from the old generation to the new one. If you're a driver of the previous gen and you bought a new one, you will notice it immediately. Navigating a parking lot becomes much more of a challenge. It's small things like that, day-to-day driving, that really begins to aggravate people. And guys, do not take it from me. Go do your own homework. Look at the values of the last model year of each previous generation Toyota. I'm talking all of them. I'm talking the FJ Cruiser. The last year of that was 2014 with that FJ Cruiser Trail Teams Ultimate Edition. Try to find one of those for less than its original MSRP. Even used with 50, 60, 70,000 miles plus, they cost more than that original MSRP, which is pretty wild. Same goes for the 200 series Land Cruiser. Find a 2021 Land Cruiser Heritage Edition for less than its original MSRP with less than 25, 30,000 miles on it is dang near impossible because people absolutely love that thing, and they realize it truly is the last real lane cruiser that we'll ever get in the United States. Same goes for the Tundra, of course, 2021 Tundra TRD Pro. Finding one of them, especially in Lunar Rock with low-ish miles for under its original MSRP, has become increasingly difficult. Same goes for the Sequoia 2022, Tacoma in 2023, and the 4Runner just in 2024. We're not even a year away from it yet, and those values have already skyrocketed because people already realize and already miss the simplicity, reliability, and quote-unquote affordability of those previous gens. So in the big scheme of things, a lot of true Toyota enthusiasts feel gypped. They feel cheated by the brand. They feel as though quality has gone down drastically, all while hiking those price tags to the moon. People feel ripped off. And although I've hinted at it with the Toyota Tacoma, Toyota has gotten really good at outsourcing production of vital components or the vehicles at large to cheaper labor countries, all while still hiking up the price tag. It doesn't make any sense to me. Make it make sense. But I firmly believe that there is still hope for Toyota. Like we see from Ram, they're reintroducing the Hemi V8 back into their lineup, back into their trucks, which is awesome. They're even bringing back the Ram TRX. So I do firmly believe if Toyota were to reintroduce that V8 back into the Tundra and Sequoia and the 4-liter naturally aspirated V6 back into the 4Runner and the Tacoma now and the Land Cruiser, they could reinvigorate that brand reputation, reinvigorate the brand loyalty that they've lost throughout the last few years here. And no matter what, a lot of you are just gonna chalk me up to being a Toyota hater. That couldn't be further from the truth. I truly want the brand to turn around. I love Toyota. I love these older Toyotas. Toyota has always had it right with their Kaizen approach. That Kaizen approach is their constant pursuit toward perfection with all their models, constantly making small continuous improvements toward perfection. I love that about Toyota. But to me, it seems as though the brand has distanced themselves tremendously from their original core values, and certainly from Kaizen. So I mean it, if Toyota makes that shift back to their core values of reliability, simplicity, and affordability, they're gonna bring back so much of their followership that they've lost in the last few years. That's going to be huge. And I do find it quite comical that Toyota is still leaning on their laurels of the past. They're leaning on that old reputation of having the exceptional reliability ratings. In fact, they still will beat their chest highlighting the fact that between Lexus and Toyota, they do have the most reliable vehicles on the road. However, that's based on the vehicles on the road right now, not because of their current generations that they're pumping out the door right now, but it's really thanks to the vehicles that have been out there for several years, the previous generation Toyotas. Here in a couple of years, they won't be able to lean on that benchmark anymore. And resale values are plummeting on the new generation Toyotas. That's because the new ones are coming with huge discounts right off the shelf. How are you supposed to expect a great residual value on your vehicle if the new ones are being sold with an $8,000 to $12,000 off discount for like the Tundra in particular, or a $6,000 to $8,000 off discount for the Tacoma? How are you expecting to have any kind of residual if they can't even sell the new ones? Because let's face it, reliability and resale, they go hand in hand. And a final point I'll throw out in this video is Toyota's public relations team here in Toyota North America truly rewards yes men behavior from YouTubers and automotive journalists. They want people to come out and hype up the brand no matter what. They want you to promote the brand and speak positively about the brand, even if you are not that impressed with it. I spoke very candidly about my personal feedback on the new generation Toyotas, and well, I magically found myself no longer getting any kind of invite to any kind of press event. So that's definitely a shame and a huge detriment for the company at large. As a public affairs professional in my real life and a PhD in industrial and organizational psychology, I can tell you with full confidence that any company worth their salt is going to welcome and invite constructive criticism, not shy away from it and not push people away who are trying to offer that to you. So I'll wrap up the video there, guys. As always, I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to tune in these videos. If you found any kind of value in this whatsoever, I do respectfully request that you please consider liking and subscribing. Eventually, we will become a large enough channel to actually drive some positive change, to actually drive an impact for our favorite vehicle manufacturer, Toyota. Thanks for watching.